Stay tuned to NCC News as we look at how typewriters are making a comeback. We'll see how NCC's culinary arts students prepare for school events, and we take a look at Stanford natives' rise to the UFC after these messages. I'm Isabel Surapine.
I'm Jeff Edelstein. In our top story, we take a look at the ongoing diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Cuba and how that may lead to honeymoons in Havana.
That's right. President Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro met for the first time earlier this month. Polo Sandoval updates us on the diplomatic talks and looks at whether unrestricted travel to Cuba is in the near future.
The sunny Cuban coastline is still out of reach for most American tourists. Sure, President Obama's December announcement promised to thaw the icy relations between the U.S. and Cuba.
Isolation has not worked.
But the new rules only allow some Americans to visit the island without permission from the U.S. government. Travelers need to fit into one of 12 categories. Among them are journalists and people visiting the island for educational, cultural, or religious reasons. As for the typical American tourist, there are still some restrictions. It would take an act of Congress to clear the way because of the embargo put in place in 1960.
In Cuba.
And there's no telling when or if Congress might act. But there could be some prospect for change with U.S. and Cuban leaders coming together for the first time in almost 60 years. President Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro may meet at the Summit of the Americas.
Perhaps no one's watching the ongoing diplomatic talks between these two as close as Cuba's neighbors, places like the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and then there's the U.S. Virgin Islands. Everybody here makes a lot of money off of tourism.
More than 60 cents of every dollar in our economy is generated by tourism.
Beverly Nicholson Doty is Tourism Commissioner of the U.S. Virgin Islands. She feels a little bit of competition in the Caribbean wouldn't be a bad thing.
Any new destination that comes into our competitive marketplace certainly has the opportunity to redirect some of our business. But when you start looking at Cuba, we recognize that we know it's on the horizon.
If tourism ties are ever fully restored, it would likely put Cuba back on the map as a popular getaway. Until then, most Americans can only dream of cruising down Cuban streets and reliving the nostalgic Havana nights of the 1950s. I'm Polo Sandoval reporting.
Hopefully the travel ban is lifted so I can visit Cuba this summer. Now, while many children in America are having fun enjoying their youth with their parents by their side, the same cannot be said for children in other parts of the world, specifically China, an area in which many children are raised by their grandparents.
6-year-olds are often hard to handle. But Liu Yiming is perhaps more of a handful than most. And wherever Liu goes, his granny has to follow.
I have a lot of trouble with him. He is so difficult. Raising this child is a huge headache.
She takes care of Liu because his father left to find work and his mother abandoned him.
I can't teach him well. This boy should be educated by his father and mother. I can't even catch him when he runs away from me. I can't discipline him when he misbehaves.
In China, a generation of children like Liu are raised without parents. The numbers are staggering. There are more than 60 million left behind children in China. That's 1 in 5. More often than not, they're cared for by aging grandparents.
When you visit these villages, you see something extraordinary. It's only the very old here and the very, very young. All those who are working have left for the big cities.
Rural villages like this one in Anhui province are almost empty. The surrounding fields polluted, jobs non-existent. Recent studies show that left-behind children do worse at school, have behavioral problems as they grow up, and are prone to depression. The Communist Party says it's trying to help, but many say their policies made it worse.
It's not good, but we don't have a choice. I don't want to, but I have to raise him. What other options do I have? Where would I leave this boy if I didn't take care of him?
In the race to build a modern China, China's oldest generation and its very youngest are left behind. David Mackenzie, Chaohu Village, China.
This past March, Japan marked 4 years since the earthquake and tsunami that wrecked the communities and ended thousands of lives. There was a nationwide ceremony of remembrance. Sirens were set off at the exact moment the undersea earthquake struck. They were followed by a moment of silence across the country. Akihito and Empress Mikito led tributes to those who died. Families of the victims laid flowers in front of a monument in Tokyo. Ernest Hemingway once said, "Typewriters write the way people talk." From Jack Kerouac to Hunter S. Thompson, the advent of the typewriter has helped shape the English language. And while smartphones and tablets may be taking over the world, the humble typewriter hangs on to its place. Claire Sebastian has more details.
This is the best thing that's happened to typing since electricity.
In the 1960s, typewriters like the IBM Selectric were the pinnacle of office technology.
We still sell these. We, of course, service them.
Hard to believe the same IBM Selectric is still being used today.
Law offices, accounting firms, book publishers, people are still used to typing an envelope or a label.
Even the New York Police Department still uses them.
Currently, some forms are still required to be typed, so we still do have typewriters.
This is an old-fashioned ribbon that they don't make anymore.
At Gramercy Typewriters in New York, the old machines are even clicking with younger fans.
Typewriters have been making another resurgence. People are asking about typewriters. They're coming in.
It's keeping Paul and his son Justin knee-deep in the machines. Gramercy sells up to 30 a week, and they can service 10 to 15 a day. They're cheaper than most modern computers. A working IBM costs about $400.
But of course, the older they get, the more expensive they get. This Underwood is just under 100 years old, and it would probably sell for around $600.
I'm writing you on an Underwood portable.
Frank Underwood in the Netflix series House of Cards is a fan, as is actor Tom Hanks, a regular customer here.
Comes in from time to time, yes.
Hanks loves typewriters so much, he's even launched an app that replicates the experience. While 55 years in the business have left Paul with blackened fingers, he's not ready to retire. And neither, he says, is the typewriter.
There's still a need for a typewriter, and there are people still going to want a typewriter. And I could see this going on for years.
Claire Sebastian, CNN, New York.
For some movie fans, interstellar travel may seem far-fetched in the real world. However, great strides are being made to make such travel possible.
For years.
Claire Sebastian.
NASA is fired up after the agency's largest and most powerful rocket booster passed its first. The 177-foot long solid rocket booster successfully ignited for 2 minutes. That's considered a major milestone for NASA. If the next test succeeds, the booster will then be used in its first flight at the Kennedy Space Center. NASA hopes the boosters could one day push rockets and spacecrafts to destinations in deep space, including asteroids, and Mars. That's a lot of energy being used there. So let's see how we can save some of it. The BEST program at NCC recently held an event for Connecticut homeowners about saving energy in your home. Elias Rosario has a story.
A lot of people think that saving energy is all about changing these light bulbs to these light bulbs. But what many people don't know is that their electricity bill is also affected by these ventilation systems, whether they're old or just not working properly. Eric Gribben, part of the BEST program at NCC, has more information to share in this latest workshop.
There are 3 types of heat transfer in the house, specifically air movement. One is wind, okay? So the effect of the wind on the house. The second is mechanical, because many of us have mechanical systems that are moving air in the house, right?
The workshop featured Craig Clark from Eversource presenting energy-saving services for a low copay. Carrie O'Neill from the CT Green Bank also presented the flexible solar financing options available.
It's really interesting the way that they broke it down and showed you how much money you'll save and what you actually pay to get one of these audits. That's something that I didn't know, and it's really good to know that, you know, for $99 a copay, if you're income eligible, you can get an audit for your house and start saving money right away.
It also very clearly demonstrated that you could actually be in the black right in the beginning because the savings are greater than the cost of doing the program, even through financing, especially with some of the low interest financing options that are available.
Current or prospective homeowners can visit energizect.com for more information. This is Elias Rosario, NCC News.
Talk about going green. Now let's go blue for a minute. Bridgeport's Steel Point Harbor is finally seeing some progress. The 2 million square foot super regional waterfront project spanning 82 acres will be the home of the anchor tenant, Bass Pro Shops. With other reputable retail chains like Starbucks and Chipotle soon to follow, Pro Shops is America's most popular outdoor store, and it can be expected to be fully built by the end of 2015. Bass Pro will be a draw for people throughout the region, one that will help revive the local economy. On the success of finally building a promising development site, Mayor Bill Finch said, "Steel Point Harbor is our biggest economic development since the Industrial Revolution. It is finally becoming a reality. We are building for the future." The site is expected to generate at least 250 to 300 jobs.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at how NCC goes the extra mile to help students with the financial aid process.
Also, be sure to hang tight as we take a look at how the college film classes are preparing for their award show. All on NCC News when we come back.
I fainted at the sight of blood. Me, a nurse? I had no idea that's what I'd be when I went to NCC. But NCC is not like other colleges.
NCC has a Student Success Center where counselors assist every student in creating a future.
I'm so happy. Nurse Robbins. I created that.
Be who you want to be. Create your future at NCC.
You can never be too careful when filling out any important college application. This is especially true with the financial aid application. This is why NCC has taken the process a step further by helping students with this process.
If you make over $10,000 but you live at home, then they're going to say technically you're supporting something to the house.
Here at Norwalk Community College, some students have a tough time filling out the financial aid application. Thankfully, the school regularly hosts College Goal Sunday, an event designed to help students and families learn more about the financial aid process and the cost for attending school.
We just want students to be able to come here and get assistance that's needed to be able to fill out the application correctly, because there's always issues where students come in and they're filling out the application on their own. When they come to the school, there's corrections that they have to make, and it takes longer for them to be able to receive their financial aid packages because of mistakes that were made that could have been avoided if they would have actually came to College Goal Sunday. So we put put a big emphasis on the actual College Goal Sunday. So when students come here, they have professionals that can actually help them do the application so that when they go to their four-year schools or they actually return to Norwalk Community College, their application can actually be correct and they can be able to receive their financial aid sooner. So it gives them more time to sign up for classes and everything.
This program actually helped me learn a lot and how to fill it out, and it was really easy. They made it really easy.
The volunteers helped in making things easy for us. They answered all our questions and offered great service overall.
For more information on the next event, students can visit collegegosunday.usa.org or visit the Financial Aid Office on the East Campus, room E105.
I'll definitely recommend that program to any freshman friends I have. Now we know college can be fun with the coursework involved, but how does a student have more fun with their experience while being educational at the same time? Elias Rosario has the details.
You may be wondering why there was so much chatter and dancing in the East Campus atrium. This was the site of NCC's Club Fair, where students got the chance to socialize and learn about each club. The Model UN Club was present to give us more information about how students can benefit from joining.
Model UN is really important because it's an opportunity for students to work on their debate and research skills. And not only that, but then to go out and have an event where you're with like-minded students and you talk about international diplomacy and answers for the next generation. And it's an exercise in thinking for the future.
The African Culture Club was also present to give us more insight as to why their club is so popular.
One of the interesting things that we have at the meeting will be the food for thought, which is every week we bring in something, we talk about a certain subject that has to do with the African culture or something that's going on in the world in the news, and we get into a discussion about it. It's like a video, or sometimes it's a reading, but it does end up being interesting. But we do other things like with the stuff we have at the school. You know, we got a couple events coming up. We have a concert that's coming up on February 26th for Black History Month. So.
For more information about joining a club, students can visit the Student Activity Center in room West 111.
Now on to a more detailed look at one of the college's program offerings. The Culinary Arts Department professor, Trombetta, is the program's head chef, and he had a lot to say about what they do.
It's a laminated dough. Laminated means it's layered. What is it layered with? Dough and butter. Dough, butter, dough, butter, dough, butter. And when we roll it up a certain way.
On February 11th, NCC's Culinary Arts Department hosted its annual legislative breakfast. Although Chef Trombetta and his students can be seen here preparing for that event, their dedication to their craft is something that echoes throughout the entire year whenever they are catering.
There is pressure. Normally there'd be a lot of pressure. However, I've done this program probably, I don't even know, but I would say at least 6 times, maybe 10 times. And so I'm used to it. And I would say right now the only pressure is that my students can produce the quality. There's really, other than that, there's really no other nerves.
The students are really excited about it. They like to have their food out and have people experience it because that's part of their learning curve. You know, they can cook at home all the time, but they don't have an audience to present it to.
Something that I love to do, so it's a great time when you know you can do something and it can come out as beautiful as a piece of bread.
Seeing your students come through and produce in a real life activity is rewarding. And then also having the opportunity for guests of the college, in this case the legislators and some senators. Although a lot of these people are repeat customers, I've done them for the past 6 years. So they kind of know, and actually the expectation is high because they know what we've done, so we can't fall down. We got to continue to perform the way we have in the past.
That looks like a very hard-working group. Another set of students with great passion for what they do is the TV and film production class. The school's Oscar-like event is coming up, and students are excited to be on the road with the AVA Awards.
After the highly successful 10th Annual Academic Video Awards last year, current students are excited to be part of the 11th Annual event, which will take place this May. Many of these students were happy to share some words about why they feel this event is so important and how they plan on taking the gold home this year.
You push yourself
because you want to succeed, you want to win, and especially winning the award, being able to say, oh, I won an academic award when I was in school, you want that.
The level of excitement's pretty high, because now it's like everything we've learned we're putting into our own works. Like TV1, it was like learning everything you need to know, and TV2 was like, there's so much more room for creativity, so now it's like, now you see what I'm working on, what I want to do, like my work's, like your work now is being known, like it's being seen, and it's a lot more of creativity, so it's really exciting.
The reason I won these was because I spoke clearly, which is something that a good reporter has to do. For example, I want to become a reporter in the future, and in order to give good news or to give anything out, you have to speak very clearly.
To win an AVA, the best description of what's required is to do the project the way you're told to do it. Do it for the length of time that's required and have it turned in on time when it's scheduled. Those that really do well are those that get creative with it, but still follow the directions and make their project look extremely good. It doesn't take a lot of fancy things to make a good project. You just want it clear, concise, and to the point, and have it meet the requirements of the exercise. Winning the AVA means when you reference yourself to your next college or to a future employer, it shows that you won an academic video award, which makes you stand out from the other students who did not. It shows that you have a much higher quality of work and that you're at the top of the class you're attending. My best advice to win if you've failed in the past is to step up your game. Work just a little harder. Be a little more creative and make your project sparkle.
Coming up, what we've all been waiting for.
The Stanford native who's been training to be the UFC's next best thing. Stay tuned.
Before we get to our special program, let's meet the director who made it possible. You've already seen him in this broadcast covering stories, but his passion for film and TV goes far beyond what you've seen here.
Well, working in retail is the only job experience I have, and I think that has helped me a lot in the TV and film production courses, especially in TV3, since I've had to go out and about and ask people for the story, go to people for the story instead of having them come to me with it. Even though I've still haven't perfected that yet, I still feel like my retail experiences helped me out, and they have contributed to me being somewhat successful in this class. Well, I always have a lot of ideas on things that I see out and about in the world, so instead of writing them down and making a story about it, I'd rather make a video about it, show people it, add some music into it, and add sound effects and stuff like that. Well, instead of just learning everything about TV and film or learning everything in, let's say, like control room, I think one of the things I bring to the table that's unique is that I can fix those pieces of equipment and machines. That's primarily due to my high school education, which is electronics, and building computers and fixing robots and stuff like that, you know, can definitely help me out in the TV and film production career path. Yeah, I'd definitely say probably be imitating others. But ironically now, if I were to do that at the moment, I'd have to step on the dark side of the moon, so. Okay, bring up the slate. You can stop it.
For many, having great success in anything we do is a dream. Some make it and some don't. A Stanford native is one step closer to achieving his dream of becoming part of the UFC. Let's take a look.
Yeah, it helps a lot with confidence. If you can find it in yourself to compete against another human being, you can find the confidence to do anything.
It's that same confidence that Amir Hines has carried with him throughout all of his life. But after having a body weight less than ideal for many years, he knew it was time to make a change. What he has gained from proper dieting and a healthier lifestyle has helped him decide to embark on a new journey, beginning with the UFC gym. When you first stepped foot into the UFC gym and you saw people sparring, fighting, what was your first impression of that?
My first impression was, I was honestly afraid. I was very afraid that I would have to put myself against another person, their whole body, not just like an arm wrestle match, you know? So I was really afraid, but I figured I would enjoy it.
I would imagine with all the technique involved, it was pretty difficult for you when you first got started. What was the learning curve like?
The learning curve is actually really steep. There's like, people make manuals and things about it, but you really have to learn and experience it for yourself with the help of your teammates and your teacher.
Well, Amir started training here probably, I want to say, May of last year, which puts him about 9 months in, give or take. He's sort of a fish out of water when he started, but then as he started coming more often, he really got into the swing of things training. He's coming here 2, 3, 4 days a week sometimes, on average 3, I'd say, and he really just made big improvements. His own submissions, which is one of the keys. Not an easy thing to do. In fact, it takes a lot of people a long time to develop a game, but he started to get in the direction where he seems like he knows what he wants to do.
So I hear you've got a nickname over at the UFC gym.
Yeah, my nickname is Fish. I gained that nickname because I have disproportionate, I guess, legs to my upper body. And they say I basically have no legs like a fish. So, yeah, that's how that was born.
What are some of the accomplishments that you have so far?
I placed first in my division in 2015 Naga Grappling Championship. So that was really good. I competed twice. I got gold in no gi, and I got silver in gi. So I came in second place for gi.
What would you say your biggest mistake is?
My biggest mistake is not listening to my body. Like when I have injuries, I try to be a tough guy and not take time off. And now I'm dealing with a little bit of knee issue, you know, just for not giving my body a rest. This is a great starter for the morning. 3 eggs. Sometimes I like to throw cheese on there. Well, you know, that's if I'm getting tired of the eggs. I don't buy this. This seems like a waste of money. I always buy these bad boys or girls, whatever they were destined to be. Bananas, anti-cramping. You mix bananas, some protein, and some coconut water, you have your anti-cramp, because I cramp a lot, because I don't think I drink enough water. So tournament day, literally people spend maybe about two weeks to a month preparing for each competition. And it's serious business. It's very serious. You don't want to pay all that money to feel sluggish when you're fighting, or feel weighed down by all the food that you have, or cramp mid-match, because then you're focusing on your cramp and not your opponent. That's just the worst.
You've faced many opponents in the past that had more experience than you. How did you overcome that, and how do you plan to do that again in the future?
Time. You can really only overcome it with time and practice. And you feel a little discouraged at first, but then you have to remember everybody learns at their own pace, and everybody has their own set of skills from other sports or other activities that they've done.
The future definitely looks bright for Amir Hines as he continues to visit the UFC gym and take the brass ring, we will surely be there to follow. This is Elias Rosario, NCC News.
Entertaining stuff. Since we're on the topic of entertainment, some folks in the music industry are in trouble. Derek Zoolander is making a comeback, and you'll soon be able to call on the Ghostbusters again. Here's today's Hollywood Minute with Mary Mueller.
Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams are in copyright trouble over their song, Blurred Lines. Variety reports the two will have to pay $7.3 million to the estate of Marvin Gaye. A Los Angeles jury decided the hit infringed on Gaye's 1977 song, Got to Give It Up. Variety says Blurred Lines has earned $16.5 million since its release. Blue Steel is back. Paramount Pictures released a clip of Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson hitting the runway at Paris Fashion Week in character. Derek Zoolander and Hansel showed off their style at a Valentino fashion show to promote the Zoolander sequel slated for 2016. Stiller posted a photo of the event to Instagram saying apparently Derek and Hansel have come to terms on hashtag Zoolander2. Ladies move over, Deadline reports a second Ghostbusters reboot is in the works. This time it's all men. The website says Channing Tatum will star. Even Ghostbusters alum Dan Aykroyd will have a part to play. He's forming a production company with Sony to cash in on opportunities with the original comedy. For Hollywood Minute, I'm Mary Muller.
Animals can be pretty funny, especially when they're seen doing human actions. Let's see the latest development of this in China. This dog is turning heads in southwest China. The 1-year-old male poodle is walking on his 2 hind legs, all while dressed as a schoolgirl, complete with a backpack. The dog's owner says he spent 2 months training the poodle to walk upright, and now he can walk about a mile on his hind legs.
Huh. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of NCC News.
We hope you had fun today as we brought you the very best of today's news.
I'm Isabel Serpine.
And I'm Jeff Edelstein. Stay tuned to see what we have in plan for the next broadcast. Next time on NCC News, we'll take a look at the dangers of teen smartphone addiction, how a Holocaust survivor fled the Ukraine war, and a look at NCC Idol.